Welcome to the Chain Out Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy and Daryl.
Hey everyone, Jeremy and Daryl here, and live from the Edmonton area, it's Chain Out Podcast, season 2, episode 64. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic now. Where'd that come from? That's
Not
in the show notes.
No, I just thought I always say the same thing at the beginning, and there was a point where I was kind of coming up with new ideas to start us out.
Yeah.
And I just love the way they do that on Saturday Night Live, right? With the live from New York, it's Saturday night.
So you're holding us in that high of regard.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of like Saturday Night Live in the fact that, when you watch one of those shows, what is there? Say there's 10 sketches. About 50% of them are good. So, that's, are we at that same ratio? I don't know who is the better.
Yeah,
one,
well. Yeah. We'll let the people in the chat decide. Speaking of people in the chat, we've got Sam in the chat. We've got Dina.
Ooh.
And we've got Sonia in the chat as well right now.
Well, I want to say a quick welcome back to Sam because we missed him. He was down in Belize. And
can you believe it? No, that's no good.
I think that's what Colleen said she likes about us is that kind of cheese. I don't know if it gets cheesier than that, but... But yeah, so we'll chat with him on Around the Basket here all about how the Belize trip was, but I'm sure everybody in the chat will maybe check it out with him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So otherwise, what's been going on?
Not a whole heck of a lot.
No?
I think it's been getting cold here in Alberta, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Haven't been out in over a week and a half.
Yeah. Well, I for me, I'm still trying to keep that streak alive. So I now look at the weather report and I try to find out what the warmest day is going to be. Yeah. And if I have to find some way to manage it at that perfect time to get my 9 holes in and keep the streak alive.
Okay, can we put this to bed once and for all?
Well,
chat can help us out on this. Chat.
Go ahead.
Does 9 holes count as a round? I mean, UDisc counts it as a round.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I say it does. I say until UDisc changes it.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I just think it's a squirmy way of making so that you still got your round in. Because, a round of disc golf is 18 holes, but you're only doing 9. So how many weeks are you at right now?
I am at like 95 weeks.
So let's call it 55, 60, 64 rounds of disc golf.
I got out. I threw the disc multiple times. And sometimes with my round, maybe throwing 9 holes is the equivalent of someone else throwing 18.
That's fair. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one.
Yeah. Well, you've got a nice hat on there, but that's only one of the many hats you wear, Daryl. One of those many hats.
Yeah.
And one of them is new for you this year, and that's your role as an EDGA board member.
Yeah. Member at Large Communications.
That's the official title?
Yeah.
Have you got business cards made up yet?
Not yet. They're in the mail.
Okay, they're in the mail.
Yeah.
Perfect. Chain out on one side, EDGA on the other, or what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be done. just to cut in, we got some answers. Sonia said, yeah, why not? Dina says yes.
Thank you.
Sam says 9 is better than 0.
Perfect.
And he put my
Have
name
I told
in
you
bold.
guys lately that I love you and that there's no one else above you, chat? Because it's true. Thank you. So, yeah, you're wearing your hats. You had a meeting last week with EDGA.
I value your opinion, but you're wrong.
It's been a long time since you got to use that.
And that's aimed at you.
That's at me or the chat?
No, the chat.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yes.
You did EDGA. I figured let's start the top of the show with what's happening in EDGA because there's a lot going on, right?
Yeah. Like you say, winter, people think things are shutting down. Things are not happening. Definitely at EDGA, we're still keeping things, trying to roll through the winter as well. One of the first big thing that we've got coming, not the first thing, but the first big thing is Tundra Toss. So first big tournament of the year, specifically in the wintertime. It was part of the Ice Bowl originally. We wanted to keep it first tournament in the year. Tim, ex-president EDGA, wanted to make it more than just a tournament, so he partnered it with the Welcome Day as well. So you can when you sign up even if you don't sign up for the tournament, you can still stop by at Tournament Central, pick up your bag tags for the year.
Yeah, you can get your bag tag, and a lot of times too, for those people who don't know, with our league, is when you have a bag tag, there's an opportunity for you to play other people for it, and your goal is to try and get the lowest bag tag you can. That's one way you can kind of participate in the league throughout the year. And depending on how interested you are in that, you can choose how high of a number or low of a number you want to start with. because if you choose number 1 through 10, somebody's going to be knocking on your door to play around to try and take it away from you. But
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
part of it. You can pick up your tag as well, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
pick up your tag, sign up for the full membership, participate in the event. 2 rounds, 1 day.
Yeah.
Last year was a little bit of an anomaly. We had perfect weather in the morning, freezing cold
Oh,
in the evening, in the afternoon.
well, like blizzard in the evening. Like we
Yeah.
had a nice clear day. We went and we had our lunch, and just as it continued to go on, that blizzard really kicked up to the point where like we were taking off a ton of snow off our
Oh yeah,
vehicles just to get out of there.
yeah. Um, so Tundra Toss Sunday, February 23rd.
Yeah, and I am in the tournament, MA40. I think I've seen a number of our listeners are registered as well. So if you want to start watching PDGA live, you'll have somebody to watch on February 23rd.
Yeah, I will not be in it this year, which I'm a little bit sad about, but also I'm not really that bothered because it is such a cold tournament. I would like to do it just to see if I could do better than I did last year because I didn't have a very good second round.
Mm-hmm.
But as part of my member, the board member role at Edgar, being communications, it was, when we had our first general meeting or meeting with the president, Brock,
Mm-hmm.
I said, what do you want out of the communications position? And Vicky, the outgoing communications person, was like, you know what would help? We don't have a lot of photos and a lot of videos of tournaments that we run.
Right.
So that's what my role is this year. I'm going to be helping wherever I can. But when the rounds start, you'll still see me walking around with my various cameras. I'll be set up. I'll be taking some videos. I'll be trying to document it all. So I'll be there for that.
Awesome.
Also, it's happening right now. It's right now, Jeremy, as we
As
speak.
we are recording.
Yeah, right now, as we're recording.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesdays at Cattail Crossing, Edgar puts on the Winter Putting League. That's still going till March 13th, I want to say. Still spaces available. You can still go up there. You can still participate in that. It's a good time. You did it last year?
Yeah, I did it last year. And one of the things that's great about it is that even though it's already started, they do have an ability for you to drop in. They got an awesome restaurant over there. I know it's on the north side, so it's a bit of a trek, but just go with a hungry stomach and have some lunch and have a drink and chat with people about disc golf, practice on your putting. If you don't need practice on your putting, then maybe look in the mirror and ask yourself again if you need practice on your putting.
Can you stare at yourself in the face and say you don't need any practice putting?
That's right. So yeah, we got those going on, and
Yeah.
we got something else happening too, don't we?
Yeah. So this Friday, this is the thing that we want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
This Friday, Friday the 8th.
As he looks at his phone to get the
Friday
date.
the 8th is the first session of the winter training camp.
Yeah, the indoor clinics.
Indoor clinics with Gabe Piska.
Mhm.
We've had him on the show twice before. Coach Gabe will be there. You did it last year.
I've done it the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from 8 till 10 or 8:30 till 10 is going to be the teaching portion where Gabe is going to walk you through. And I think you mentioned that over the course of the 4
weeks.
the 4 weeks of the training camp, he did 1 week on forehand, 1 week on backhand, or sidearm. Was there putting?
Well, what he does is
because you had 3 kind of scheduled weeks, and then the 4th week was kind of like, okay, what do you want me to?
Yeah, and the nice thing about that is kind of because it's the ability that you can sign up for all 4 weeks, or you can just drop in for a week if you want. But over the last 2 years, and Gabe had mentioned it to us last time we had him on the show, is the first week will be a backhand throw clinic with no footwork. It's just all upper body standstill type throws. The next week will be incorporating the lower body and getting your X step involved. The third week is a forehand week. And then the fourth week is kind of the anything goes. So it is all based on what us as students want to learn. So last year, some people wanted to learn patent pending. We had like 50 people out last year, and half of them did patent pending. And then a bunch wanted to do forehand rollers. So he taught forehand rollers as well. So we got a nice collection of different things. And what we understand from talking to Brock is that last year there was like 50 people who came out for the first clinic. And right now there isn't that many people. And I think that's a great reason to go and join up, because you're going to get more time with Gabe. And every now and then he brings in Tristan as well, his brother. And Tristan's an amazing forehand player. So to have 2 of these great local pros teaching you how to get better at disc golf. What more could you ask for?
Yeah,
Worth
absolutely.
the price of admission.
Yeah. And if that's not your jam, if you feel like you don't need any practice,
Mm-hmm.
with it being -30 outside, who doesn't want to go inside and just have a 3 throw anyway?
Yes.
So from 10 o'clock onwards, for the last hour, it's a free throw session.
You take the tongue twisters.
Yeah, a free throw session where they just open up the whole of foot field, 450 foot indoor. Just throw your disc, get used to throwing them, whatever you want to do. So if you want to drop in for that, that's just $15, and you can do that as a drop in. You can pay that.
Yeah.
when
And
you get there.
what you do is bring all your discs, and we'll throw about 5 discs. Then we'll go retrieve them, walk to the other side of the field, throw 5 back. And that's where you can see Tristan, Gabe, Jared when he comes out as well.
Yeah.
Those guys can throw across the field and hit the wall on the other side. And that is an amazing sight to see a disc fly that far.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can do it inside, but can they do it outside?
I'm sure they can.
They probably could. We'd go further.
All right, so check that out. I will be there this week. I'm doing 4 of the weeks. This first one is this first week I'll be there.
Friday the 8th.
That's right. See you there. Nationals registration opened last Sunday, Groundhog Day,
Yeah.
and we warned you, didn't we, Daryl? We warned everyone. What did we tell them?
We put posts out. It's going to fill up.
We said it's going to fill up. You're going to want to sign up. And as of right now, or actually before the episode, 501 out of 520 spots are filled. So
You got 19 chances.
yes. And you might have to change your division.
Yeah.
And actually,
you-
maybe
well,
you don't. You
no,
really don't.
Exactly. If you go and look there, some of the divisions, or quite a lot of the divisions are full.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you can't just jump on the waiting list. And, we've seen it happened at Falcons Flight when we signed up. It was full in a matter of no time. We knew people that were on the waiting list. And then closer to the event, they got into the event.
Yes.
Just had to move things around. So,
well, and in speaking with Daryl and with Kevin, when we were talking about nationals, they had said that the 520 number was, we'll see, because they have 4 courses and they have a lot of time. They can put a lot of people on those courses throughout the day. So I could also see them allowing more people possibly in. And they did say, if a division is filled up and you want to be in that division, sign up, get on the wait list. They may open up those divisions to be a little larger than what they first started with. They just wanted to have some limits at the beginning.
Yeah.
And we'll see. But I think it's going to be great. And you know what? It's almost like Falcons Flight is so hard to get into.
Yeah.
This Nationals is starting to get to that level too.
Exactly.
So it's good.
It's got a big draw.
Yeah. Well, we got to wrap this top of the show up. So let's keep zooming along.
Keep going.
So we had a 5-disc giveaway that Lane Mosoff from Prodigy, Cardinal, Mosoff Design.
Yeah.
He gave us 5 discs. We have spun the wheel 5 times. We have contacted the winners. We've got their addresses, and Lane's going to get those discs out the door. So to our winners, start watching for that.
Yeah.
But we got another giveaway, Daryl?
Well, we had a giveaway last week when we spoke to Chris Hartman,
Mm-hmm.
Nationals champion.
Yes.
Yeah, Nationals champion. Part of his winning prize, if you want to say, he got stamped discs,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "You know what? I've got these discs lying around. How about I give you guys 2 sets of 2 discs as well?" So he's got 4 discs for us, 2 sets of 2. We don't know how we're waiting to get the pictures just so we can do the full post, put it out on Instagram. Whether we're going to go Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, we're not sure. Maybe we'll do all 3. We're not doing enter as many times as you like.
Oh, I thought that was fun
Yeah, okay.
for me to look at all those
Yeah,
come
and then
in.
realize that I've got to add it all up and verify and double check and cross reference.
There you go.
But we'll just look out for the post. It will be out there. So stay tuned for your chance to win 2 discs from Chris Hartman and his national stamp discs.
Yes. And then I guess we'll let you know as well, which we always like to let you know, is
Yeah.
that we are proudly sponsored by Cardinal Disc Golf. And as members of the Crimson team, we get great gear. We're going to be wearing lots of great gear when it finally gets here.
When it
It's
gets
been in
here.
the postal strike and stuff for a little while, but it's on its way. We know it's coming. But we do have a discount code, and it's Chain Out. And if you use that, you'll get 10% off. We did check because we said we're going to give away these 2 nice discs.
More
so more
giveaways.
giveaways. This Vanish and this Reactor to the first people to use our code. And Daryl, we got some sneak peek action there as Crimson members, didn't we?
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to see some cool things coming. We can't say too much. Stay tuned.
We might say you might want to pay attention if you like Miguel.
If you like Miguel, if
If
you
you
like
like Gabby,
Gabby,
you might want to pay attention because there is some hot
hot new
stuff coming
things
out.
coming.
Yes, so watch for that.
So if you're saving it up, if you want to save up that 10% to get the latest, freshest
Gear.
not only would you get a nice, fresh-looking thread, good for the course, you might also get a vanish or a reactor as well.
That's right.
You get 10% off with the code CHAINOUT.
And if that code wasn't enough for you, you can also use our code with Goat Towel. Craig and Jen were so kind to give us a code for that, and that one's COP15. Use that one at checkout, and you will get 15% off your Goat Towel order.
Oh, we're so good.
Daryl. And then stick around the basket. Tonight's episode, we're trying something new. We'll tell you all about it. It's the two of us on purpose because we like talking and we want to share a whole bunch with you. So join us afterwards. We'll put a link up on our Patreon. There's a free way to join us. Catch that episode now, or you can wait till Saturday and see what we talked all about then.
Yeah, it's a bit of a throwback.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of back to the roots a bit. Yeah. Well, do we got a guest, Daryl?
Oh, we've had a guest for a while, Jeremy.
All right, let's get to our guest. Tonight's guest is from Vancouver, BC. Now, Daryl, we all want to do something that we love.
Yeah.
Our guest was able to combine his love of disc golf with his love of board games and create, and I'm going to say it because it's in all caps, Chains, the disc golf board game. The game has been played by DGPT pros and has allowed our guest to work with brands like Squatch and GK Pro/GoThrow. We can't wait to hear all about this game and get to meet Callum. So let's welcome Callum Mathers to the show.
Good evening, Callum.
Hey guys, Jeremy, Daryl, how you doing?
We're doing good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
You know, it's nice to be off work, relax, and chat disc golf.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
That's one of our things. One of the things we look forward to most is our Wednesdays where we can spend pretty much the whole night chatting disc golf and with awesome guests. And we got another one tonight. We're glad that you were able to join us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, talking to you here, you're out in Vancouver there. And we've talked to a few people out in Vancouver, and we always kind of envy the weather and that. And we don't want to dwell on it too much. But in times like today, where it's minus 30 out and cars aren't starting and it's garbage out here, just maybe tell us how wonderful it is in Vancouver right now. Tell us it's hot and sunny or something like that. Make us feel better.
Yeah, you know, they almost had a snow day. They almost did, but they didn't.
Almost.
Because you can see the ground. Yeah, right? And it was sunny today. And if you wanted to play disc golf, you would not have lost a disc.
Wow.
So
wow. Could you imagine, Daryl?
Yeah. I bet Callum doesn't even know that we put ribbons on discs.
Yeah. He's like, he might think that we're wrapping them up for Christmas or something when we talk about
only in stories.
Yeah, and that glow discs are only for the summer, right? That's another thing for us. Yeah, exactly that. But well, that's awesome, Callum. We don't know if you've seen much of our shows, but one of the things we like to do right at the beginning is to find out how our guests got into disc golf. So I'm going to come up with an origin story. We have our guests try and guess the movie that I based it around. The main reason is to have a little fun and to give you some time to think about how you got into disc golf. So I'm going to hit you with the story. Maybe
All
right. Maybe when you were younger, you were throwing your Frisbee in Stanley Park. The Frisbee went into the woods and you ran in looking for it. When you found the Frisbee, it was laying on top of a mysterious box. The box looked like it may have been there for decades. Dusting it off, there was a word you'd never seen before. Disconji? You opened it and the world around you started to change. There were animals all over the park that didn't belong, and they were trying to attack you. With some well-placed throws of your trusty Frisbee, you fended them off, the box closed, and the animals disappeared. Did you dream this? Possibly. But either way, your disc throwing skills improved from that day forward. Now, maybe that's not quite how you got into disc golf, so why don't you tell us how it really happened?
Wow, that was beautiful. Thanks so much for that. I mean, I feel like the sport had such a great chance when COVID came along and said, why don't you go be introverted outside? And so it found me at a time when I was not working and I was living right beside a course And you're always living beside a course when you find the sport. You never know that it's there until you know. Um, some roommates and I at the time started making a habit of playing, and within a month, we jumped in my motorhome and we played about 25 plus courses in 8 days,
Wow.
traveling across British Columbia.
Wow.
It was incredible. We all the way from Vancouver all the way out to Radium Hot Springs,
Right.
as close to Alberta as I could possibly get. So without actually crossing the border there.
Right.
No, it was a beauty. It was a total beauty. And the idea for the board game came up along the way. We're thinking, how could this be in our everyday life? What happens when we are employed again? What happens when we have? How are we going to squeeze this into every moment of free time we can? And so we got back we're on the drawing board, conceptualizing and stuff. And so many iterations later, I was always looking for ways to contribute to the community that I was a part of. And as soon as I found disc golf, it was clear that I was going to want a community here.
Right.
So many good people, so many great tournaments organized by volunteers, and everyone looking for a way to give back. And this seemed like, I don't know, it just fell right into my lap.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, you got a lot there for us to unpack, starting with the disc golf and then moving over to the board game itself. Now, like recently, we had guests from Vancouver on the show. We had Lane Mosolf on from Prodigy and
Oh, yeah.
Cartel, and so he was on, and he that was great talking to him. And then just recently, we had Chris Hartman as well from the Vancouver area, and they were telling us how there's so many great courses around in that. And you just said there was one right by you, so. Two questions for you there. What course is right close to you, and what's your go-to course in the Vancouver area when you're out there playing?
I'm in the West End, and so I'm a 15-minute drive from Kilchena, Queen Elizabeth Park, Jericho, and Eastwood, I think it's called, Eastview out in North Vancouver. I really liked pushing my boundaries in terms of challenging elevations and distances, and there's no better course for that than Jericho. That is an absolute gravity well wonder playground and gladiator school for anybody that wants to learn the hard way.
That's awesome. I've heard the name Jericho mentioned,
Yeah.
but we hadn't heard it from either of those guests. So that's another one I think to add on the list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of players, like Jeremy and I, we kind of started around that COVID boom. Some of the players that started have already kind of dropped off. They've played their disc golf and then they've kind of moved on to other things. What is it about disc golf that has reached out to you, and why have you stuck with it so long?
It's a low impact sport that has people. It has almost a team feeling or a community feeling, and your community is waiting for you at the course whenever you have time to play. You don't need to know their names. You don't need to have met them before. You walk onto that course and you have friends, and you have people to go walk with and have objectives in the forest. Like, what else is there in life besides walking around this planet looking for things to do?
Well, that's a great point that you make there, because really this friendship here happened in that exact way, I guess we could say. Hey,
no, absolutely it did.
Yeah. It was a matter of the two of us just being two random strangers on a disc golf course, and one saying to the other, do you want to join up and finish the round? And now here we are 64 episodes into a podcast. So you are right. The community is definitely a big draw. That's a good point for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. I got one more kind of quite disc golf related question before we get into more about the board game itself. And what we've noticed for us as we've been playing, we're getting into it a little more, and our disc collections are starting to accumulate. And Daryl and he corrected my notes when I wrote this down. I said he was getting close to, but he says, no, he is, like capital IS. His bag is exclusively Innova discs now. So that's what he's throwing.
Oh, wow.
And I'm finding that I'm starting to gravitate more towards MVP. Plus, I've still got a number of other brands in my bag. When you look at your bag, have you started to gravitate at all, or what are some of the discs that you like to throw? Maybe not your Desert Island. We'll save that for later. But what kind of manufacturers do you kind of throw?
I've thrown all brands at this point, and my favorite thing to be able to do is look in my bag and say, I can make this do that. Watch this, and then make it happen. I love that. And there's not a lot of brand or manufacturer allegiance with that mentality, but I will say that um, I have cleared out some of my collection, and something I couldn't bring myself to part with was my all turquoise complete set of Latitude 64 Disc Golf Valley stamped discs. And
Oh,
I'm learning them. I'm learning them gently and slowly, but you would look in my bag right now and see few discs that have all similar stamps, and you'd have to know them by mold, and I love that. It's just a lot of fun.
yeah,
So everything
that's
from the musket to the pier to the compass and your fuse, and um, those discs don't reflect my playing style, but
Yeah.
the aesthetic of the bag is making me happy at the moment.
yeah. And I've seen that, Daryl, as well. When we've been out, we've been in some tournaments, and you'll see someone with like a pink bag or a purple bag or a blue bag, where it's more organizing the discs. And that's the thing I've always wondered is, doesn't it make it confusing to know what you've got in your bag? I guess you really, really get to know your discs well. And
Yeah.
if you're saying they have a lot of similar stamps on them, that I guess it makes sure you're very focused on which disc you're picking before you throw it.
If there's one thing that's going to wreck your game, it's forgetting to focus.
Fair enough. I would
Yeah,
agree. Nice. Well, Callum, not only are you a disc golfer, but you're also the creator of, and you got to correct, am I supposed to yell it? Because I like to yell it because it's all caps. Is that
you
good?
can yell it. You
With
can yell it.
authority of Chains. Like I try to give it some authority. Chains, the disc golf board game. So I hope you're ready because we've got a ton of questions lined up for you here. And I'm going to
Absolutely.
all right. So board games for me, they are one of my hobbies, and like many people, I kind of played when I was younger. I was playing Monopoly, I was playing Clue, I was playing Scrabble, those types of board games. But once I got a little older, I went out on a ski trip with a bunch of friends from Manitoba that I hadn't hung out with, and they introduced me to like Ticket to Ride and Bonanza. And all of a sudden, it almost felt like the whole Matrix moment where I could have been given the red or the blue pill. Take the one pill, and I would have been done and never looked at another board game, or taken the other one and fall down that rabbit hole. And that's what I've done, to the point where I've got, calyxes in my house full of games all over the place. Um, and I'm just wondering, what is it that got you kind of interested into board games to the extent that you were willing to take on the enormous task of making your own?
Oh man. I mean, I was raised in a board game house with the classics of the previous generation, so and yeah, Remotely and Cribbage and Scrabble and your parents' games, but the
Mhm.
ones that you wouldn't mind teaching your kids so you could thwomp them. Um, Definitely explored a little bit in high school, Munchkin, Settlers of Catan, Risk, all that stuff. And then I even took it upon myself at some point to just start creating old, like, Viking medieval board games, things that are way out of print, um, carving them out of tile and wood, and just using my dad's workshop to just for a convenient little activity. And then in my adult life, I started pursuing creative entrepreneurial ventures outside of work. Um, so I've had several startup little things where I've made products and seen it to the end, whether that means exporting manufacturing to China, doing design here, hiring my friends to get on board with assembly and production. Um, a board game seems to fit the theme of my past, and also just seemed like a really good fit for the disc golf industry. I, I when I came back from that trip, I was really looking at the market feasibility for what does this industry need? This industry is just heaving with different discs available. Um, we look at the golf industry, and that's like late stage. You can see there's so many outlet stores full of way too many things and the most hilarious gadgets and gadgets for
Yeah.
um, anything you could have possibly thought of related to the sport. And I thought, okay, instead of trying to make these gadgets or gadget, who am I? What can I offer to this industry? I started with um, my experience at Shopify. I was offering e-commerce services to disc retailers. I was helping them with their product filters so that you could search for discs via their speed or glide or turn and fade and like just ranges of that, so you could really decide what you wanted in your bag and filter their sites like that.
Yeah.
And that let me focus on that, making some side income while focusing on what I had recently fell in love with, which is the mechanics of disc flight. Like, how cool is that? It's way too cool.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. We're here to watch discs fly, and hopefully we can do it ourselves. Make it happen, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've said it how many times, Daryl?
That's it. That's the thing that gets us all hooked, right? Is when you get that first perfect throw and you get that S turn. That's what you want to recreate every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and it sounds,
There's
Callum. Go ahead.
sorry, there's the delay with the
Yeah.
communication. One thing that I really found ties disc golf and board games together is that with a good themed Euro board game, you have actions that you take that tell a story. They are thematic mechanics within a story. And in disc golf, you have you, the player, the general, and you have your disc. Your disc tries to have a story of its own. It has its own hero's journey through the trees and off the rocks and all that. But it was sent by you. So its chances are only as good as the person who threw it, you know? So I really love thinking about taking a throw as an action you take in a game.
Yeah, like it. I can see that. I can see that connection there. And
That reminds me of an old saying that I say quite often when people say, "Oh, we have a friend who's famous for saying that it didn't do that yesterday," but I always say a bad workman blames his tools.
there you go.
Love it.
Well, and I was looking at it from, as you said, the hero story for sure, is that you whip that disc out there and it's sailing down, and it could be that birdie that you've just been wishing to have and to hug that basket, or those evil trees could step in the way and rob you of that glory and all the challenges in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great way to think about tying a disc golf game into a board game. Now, when you were talking about the games that you were creating before, and it sounds like this really was right from when you were young, you were right into games and creating things and that type of thing. When you kind of had this idea on your trip around BC and you got home, were you just all in right from that moment, or was it kind of a slow burn where it just wouldn't stop going away, and you just knew if it's not going to go away, I'm going to have to pursue it further? How did it kind of come about that way?
I had the time to put in the time, and I did it. I really hammered out some stuff. I did some prototyping. I bought and looked into the other disc golf games on the market and tore them apart. And I thought, oh yeah, there is absolutely room for a new board game product in this industry to set a new standard, because there are certain things we want a product to do that, like as a customer, and what I want as a disc golfer, if I'm going to sit down and play a disc golf board game, is I want to have a level of consistency in the game. I don't want everything to be left to chance. That seems fair.
Yeah.
I want the tools at my disposal to reflect the tools that I have on the course, and I want an experience through the mechanics that is immersive enough that I could tell stories about moments that I had playing games on my tabletop that I would bring home from the course. How is disc golf? Oh man, hole 9, par 5, chose this disc. I lined up this shot. I was aiming for this. This happened. The wind picked it up in this perfect way, carried it further than I could have imagined I could have thrown this. And I, I made this 65-foot throw in, and I'm feeling on top of the world. I'm going to go to sleep happy, and no one can take that away from me. If I could give someone a story like that in a tabletop experience, all of a sudden I've brought disc golf home for the people who cannot get their families to go try it try the physical
Yes.
sport. I've given it to the people who are injured and can't throw the way they used to. I've let the parents of the professional disc golf players sit down with them and beat them at their own game and laugh at them versus like giving board games back to the families of the people who love this game so much and letting their families enjoy it with them is really the objective here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. So you mentioned there about you roped in some other friends, to join in and be a part of this, the putting it together and manufacturing and assembly and all that sort of thing. But did you have a game plan to start with, or did you just learn this whole process as you went along?
Um, you know, my other products weren't gaming products. They were I had an LED pipe band drum mallet company. I was selling LED instrument accessories around the world, and
Right.
Okay.
so I had people helping with like sewing and gluing and ordering in parts from vendors overseas and stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But this project, no, I quickly found myself going it alone. I had
Okay.
input when I asked for it from my roommates and from my wife. Now wife, I've been married since I started this game. It's been a long project. It's taken like
Yeah.
3 years. Um, and yeah, when you think you've got something that's worth testing, you go to your disc golf club and you show it off. You crack it open at a tailgate party, post doubles, and you get the feedback that you're looking for. So that was a blast. Enjoyed it every step of the way. And sometimes you'd get hit with a challenge where you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to sit on this for a few weeks. And yeah, so it gets a little clunky, but when it starts moving and speeding up, um, I don't know. It is a refined product. I'm really, really proud of it.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. And then, so you have this concept and you have the idea for the game, and you've got that created. You would have started making prototypes, I'm thinking, and kind of how many prototypes and how long did it take before you got to the point where you said, I think I've got something where I can officially start this Kickstarter and it's good enough that we can see if there's some interest and really make this thing happen? Like, what was that timeline?
Um, I'd say within the first year and a half, we had some mechanics that I was happy with. Some of the components were clunky, and I wasn't prepared to throw tons of money at the art. I had hired off of Fiverr. I found somebody willing to take on the project of doing a whole bunch of like multiplayer player interaction cards and the box art, and they were more geared towards like children and families. The art was actually super different than what you see now.
Wow.
It was a bunch of furry forest creatures cheekily throwing discs around and like messing with each other. It had a very playful vibe, and it had some crude language in there as well. So it was a really interesting mix. Um, I thought I had a product, and at that point, Innova called me up and said, "Hey, why don't you come down to the USDGC?" I think that was 2022, if I remember correctly. Um, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't have a product to sell.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? But my thought was, you know what? Good enough. Let's go make something happen. So I got my files together. I figured out a minimum viable product and contacted a print shop in, is it North Carolina, South Carolina? It was in one of the
One of the
Carolinas.
Carolinas. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I flew in, drove first thing in the morning to the print shop where they had finished printing a bunch of things. I had shipped in from like AliExpress or Alibaba, like gaming components and markers and stuff, and sent it all to their print shop.
Wow.
And I just got in there and I manufactured, what was it, probably 50 copies, start to finish, every component, just put them all together. Maybe it was more. God, you know what? It was probably more. It's probably 200 copies.
Wow.
Okay.
So foolish. Anyways, so I've done this, and now I rush over as a Canadian with like only the shirt on his back to the vending area of the USDGC, and I'm asking for things that you really should be providing yourself as a vendor. Like I'm a total mooch, but they manage their team's amazing. They managed to get a tent, like an awning for me and a table. So now I'm in business. I've set up a promotional thing. I vinyl did a big banner to put across the top of the thing, and for a week we're out there slugging and talking and chatting, moving, shaking with every contact I could ever have hoped to make. And you know what it's like as a Canadian disc golfer who's passionate about the sport. Our passion's presence in Canada is spread out.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not 10x like it is across the border. And to be down there and be like, "What's up? I don't know any of you. I started watching this a while ago. Who are you? This is great." Like I was the most token, clueless Canadian dude down there, um, and I got to meet everybody.
Yeah.
It was really warm welcome.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
cool for sure.
We're kind of on that, like you said, you just rushed this, or not rush, but you got this viable product, the minimum viable product together. You got it. You're standing there. One of the questions that we got in the chat here is, how do you know when you finished making the game? Because
Mm.
his follow up kind of question here was, he would just keep tweaking it forever. So when do you get to that point where you think, I cannot make this game any better, or I want to make it better? There's so many things I could probably adapt, but at some point you
Yep.
have to say, okay, enough is enough. This is version 1, 2.0,
Yeah,
3,
right.
whatever. Yeah.
Well, I don't like disappointing people, and I made several pre-sales down at the USDGC. So
Okay.
I came home committed to getting it done. That was like, okay, it's going to be done. Um, I wanted to look to an investor for a marketing budget for the Kickstarter, and I met with them, and they had some really good insights. And one of the things, the feedback that I got down at the USDGC was that the art wasn't what they were expecting.
Hmm.
Okay.
And simultaneously, I had also met um, so that feedback was echoed by my potential investor. They wanted to see this connect with customers more. They didn't know what it looked like, but they knew this wasn't it. And
Okay.
that was like, okay. However, there's this incredible crew, the Guardian Aliens crew that travel on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, doing murals on multiple sheets of plywood all put together. And
Hmm.
they work as a team. Their work is incredible. They loved the game, and they showed interest in possibly doing some art for it. So I reached out to them, and I developed relationships with Logan Walden and Noel Smith, both
Okay.
incredible disc golfers and uh, professional painters and illustrators. Um, I'm so lucky to have met them. Their investment in the creation of the art for this game, combined with their passion and immersion in the disc golf sport, while also being on tour, I think was a massive contribution to the success of this game, because I had all this time, this extra time now that to redo the art. I was directing the assets for the components, working with them all the time, and in the background, I was now hiring professional playtesting groups
Hmm.
to give thorough feedback on the game itself. And so I digitized it and made it available on Tabletop Simulator, and started getting pages and pages and pages back of different things we could rework, mechanics wise, balance wise, rules wise. And so um, I was feeling really good about offering the product when the art was reimagined to have been made by and for disc golfers, and where general board game playtesting groups of professional playtesters who do this full time um, had okayed the game, greenlighted it. That's when it
Gotcha.
was time.
Well, there you go. Well, I was going to let you know that when I found out about the game was probably just over a year ago, or kind of when the Kickstarter launched. That's when it was on my radar. Is I saw it come up on a Kickstarter. I saw some maybe social media posts, and this is where I think we're going to start blowing some people's minds of what kind of happened there. And we can cover this in any order you want, but I wanted to start with how the momentum from the tour players and the disc golf companies and all of that started. And why don't we start with the video that's out there of Luke Humphreys, Madison Walker, and Calvin Heimberg playing your game? I think people would just, if you had a new product and said, oh yeah, I'm going to have these three tested out, like, what would you think? Would you be a little happy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like how did you
bit
make that
overwhelming.
happen from being a guy out in Vancouver? You get an invite to the USDGC, and then all of a sudden there's a video out there with these pros playing your board game.
At some point you have to just decide that if you want something, you're going to get it. And if you know you don't have the biggest marketing budget in the world, you have to think, okay, well, who's doing the marketing in this industry? You don't want to pay for Facebook ads.
Mhm.
You don't want to pay top dollar, especially. Oh, when was that Kickstarter released? Right around Black Friday? No, your dollar won't make it. Won't make it. You need, and we're in a generation where we've tuned out ads. It's a really strange time, right?
Yeah.
You want to have the people you want to spend time with talking about the thing. So, I approached Disc Golf Pro Tour. I approached GK Pro, and told them what the offering was. Told them, like, hey, we don't have a huge marketing budget for this. I didn't throw $1 million at this, guys. It was just, I think we've got something, and I think you guys are gonna love it. Can I send you a copy? Can we see what we could do with this? Because the industry could really use this right now. I see it as one of the most viable products in the industry right now, because unlike discs, it's made of cardboard, and cardboard's a lot cheaper to manufacture than plastic.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like it was a perfect fit for what they had the capacity to do at the time. They're also content creators, right? They're running our beloved media centers, and so after getting in touch with multiple, like, it wasn't just GK Pro. I was talking with a few other channels as well, and I settled with GK Pro as a good fit. So
Okay.
they sat down. The copy of the game they played is a game I had printed at Staples. It was, I didn't get some fancy version done. It was like print and send. Like, oh God, please make this happen.
Wow.
And I thought, man, I need this for the Kickstarter. I just need this.
Yeah.
And they knocked it out of the park. I'm so happy with that, because who has better reach than the pros? Because, like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna watch the pros play.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
It was so good.
Well, you get that going, right? And Daryl, I know kind of I'm the board game guy a bit here for you, but so they get that going with the pros playing it. GK Pro gets involved.
Right.
Oh yeah, and then Squatch gets involved. How's that happen?
Yeah, that was good for the USDGC, because you're finding out who's willing to be on tour, showcasing their goods. And I met the Squatch team, the Squatch family, pushing their products, and man, what a bag! Like, I was blown away, because I only had entry level stuff myself, but when I got my hands on one of those, it was, okay, what is this? What are you guys doing? They're like, well, we're a small family based thing, and we're just happy to be contributing to the industry too. And they're knocking it out of the park. So I thought, let me reach out to them. Why don't I? My game lays the foundation for so much product placement. It blows my mind. And so they have a permanent exclusive bag product placement in the game, and my artist Noel could draw anything he wanted. The fact that I just gave him a reference of their legendary bag was just something he could do. I stripped it in Photoshop and was able to change the hue to match the player profile cards, and we get some pretty thing here.
Oh
Where's
yeah.
that? Oh
Yeah.
So
And it says Squatch right there. Like what? And that's when you get a board game like this, it's not gone after a few weeks. This thing is in your life for a long time, right? So you'll
Yeah.
always, every time you open it up, you'll see that Squatch bag, which is cool.
Yep. And I'm rocking a Scotch bag these days. I'm really happy with it.
Nice.
The built-in cooler, and
Yeah.
it's just so well made. It breaks my mind. But it was very much a call them up. Hey, I see you're doing things. I'm also trying to do a thing. You guys are looking for ways. If you guys are looking for ways to market, throw some money towards my artists. Like
Yeah.
help fund the new art for this project, because I definitely dipped past the budget for the art, and that's just the way it is.
Well,
But
Yeah.
and if
do you
that's
like
not
the
enough,
art? Like, how do you like it? Do you
oh,
like the art?
I love the art. Yeah, and I've got my copy right here. So I've got that there, and I can show it to people and just kind of get just the cover of the box alone.
Yeah.
Like, because what'll happen to me is, you know, in some games, art can mask a game and make it seem like it's better because people will buy it. But in a case like this, where you have the unity of a great game and the artwork, that's what really knocks a game out of the park for me. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
But
I cannot praise my artists enough.
yeah, oh,
Absolutely.
definitely. Like I
The
think of
only
it.
place I
Go ahead.
dropped the ball was with the pole card art, which was the assets I got off of Fiverr. I didn't. At some point, I had created all the holes and play tested them already, and rebuilding them was going to take weeks and weeks and weeks. That I felt like I had been holding out on releasing this Kickstarter for so long, and I felt so bad for everybody. And I was like, you know what? At some point, I had a case to make where it was like, you know what? Simplistic art is going to help you focus on the rules and your moves. So
Yeah.
maybe I let this part be simple, and perhaps I save fancy art for expansion courses in the future when
Right.
more people have bought into this and they can put their love into the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys picked up the expansion pack, but Raptors Knoll is a
Right.
course in BC here that's really
Yes.
well known. I went and took a bunch of local photography, except for this picture, not my photo. But I put images of the course into the game so that you can play the course
Oh,
itself.
that's
Right.
Play
awesome.
two
Yeah.
different tee pad positions, red, blue, and gold tees. Lots of replayability and advanced mechanics built into this, unlike the base game.
Yes,
So
that's amazing. Well,
that was a treat.
well, and Callum, like I think like I'm just gonna keep gushing a bit here because not only do you get pros play, not only did you get GK Pro involved, not only did you get Squatch involved, all of a sudden Chains is also part of Disc Golf Valley.
Yeah. I mean, how many hours have you guys put into that game? Be honest.
I've put
Oh,
in
quite a few.
into the 3 digits for sure.
Exactly.
Definitely. And I was sitting there looking at all these new discs coming out all the time, and I'm thinking, I want that. I want that. You know, I've put it. Have I not put enough work um, into a product for the community that I couldn't see this reflected in the game? And and again, there were so many potential partnership opportunities with Disc Golf Valley. Can I build your maps in Disc Golf Valley for my game? What can where do the rules of partnership stop and end and begin? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it all starts out with just reaching out to someone who works with Disc Golf Valley in some capacity and shaking hands, making friends. And I met a wonderful gentleman named Charlie Weeberry, and told him my vision. And while he wasn't the decision maker in the partnership, he was definitely able to help me get discs made. I have Chains discs in my bag in Disc Golf Valley that you can't have.
Right. Oh, there
But,
you go.
and I'm tickled, absolutely tickled. I have a Disc Golf Valley tournament event link that I can send anyone who's interested. I can help include it for you guys,
Yeah.
where you can win a Chains disc for completing the tournament. So
Oh, that's
Oh,
that was
awesome.
fun.
that'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
That would be great. Okay. Now, Daryl, this is where I've been trying to get to because I'm thinking, Callum, once you got the game to this point, you've already got this momentum behind you. You say it's time to launch the Kickstarter. You launch the Kickstarter. and what happens next? Because I think when you launched that Kickstarter, was it a surprise to you what happened next, or was it like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen?
Oh man, I honestly didn't know because my worst quality is being able to be a persistent marketer and be present on multiple social media channels. That is the hardest thing. And some people are made for it. Bless their hearts. They're not me. So hitting 10,000 on that first day of the funding was really exciting. My family celebrated. We went for dinner and we chatted about it. It was very exciting times. But it was a dramatic climb past the first day. 34-ish thousand Canadian. And it's not high. Maybe it's 37. It was a high number. Like, it's scary, man.
Yeah.
But when you start taking into account that I've already flown across the country, stayed in an Airbnb, manufactured 200 prototype copies, need to at this point I've only found a manufacturer whose minimum is 1,000 copies, and I'm going to have to ship these things at a time where gas prices are at an all-time high. Like, it was a scary time. And it's your first time importing things. You don't know the cost, the hidden costs involved here. So you're trying to build a buffer, but you don't know what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing.
Now we're getting the details.
You try and run you're running a giveaway contest with Glean, some weird software that and at the perfectly wrong time where Facebook starts buckling down on which third-party websites can do integrations and plugins and stuff. So your contests are being stripped or like wiped off sites. You're getting hit with like, oh, you've messaged too many people today.
Right.
You're like, I didn't know that was possible. Thanks for telling me. You're small. You're a single person trying to do a big thing, and you're finding out why people pay the big bucks for the marketing campaigns.
Right.
I did not have a big marketing budget, but I will say that working with Disc Golf Pro Tour and GK Pro was the best decision I could have ever made, because it aligns you with the people who see that as almost unattainable. They see, ooh, shiny, proof of concept. Oh, proof of you're not pretending. You're working with the big boys, and that's or the big girls, and it was just wonderful. I think we did it exactly right. Raised just enough money on the skin of our teeth. I will say that, like, I'm in the hole, if you wanted to know, because we raised enough to meet our goal to manufacture it. Manufacturing it, shipping it, it was a viable number if the copies are sold. But I have some more copies left. There's still copies left, so I'm feeling good about it. It's just going to be organic marketing, just like, we're just hanging out talking about the game and now. But yeah, I would of course I would do it again.
Yeah,
of course I would do it. It was at some point, if you've put 3 years into a project and someone says it's time to hear the applause, from Act 1, got the product announced. That's a really special time. I would say if anyone's got entrepreneurial ventures out there and they want to see how this is going, document your processes as soon as you've conceived them. See if you can't commit to sharing what you are doing and what you love, and build your following as soon as possible, because organic marketing is the way to go. You want to reach your listeners. You don't want to pay for your listeners. You want to reach people who found you, and it wasn't an accident. It was their friend referring them. It was them being in the right place at the right time and going, thank you. Like, that's what we want.
Yeah. Well, I just what I love about this, Callum, is it's just, you go, hey, why don't I try this sport? And then you go on a trip across BC. Then you have an idea for a board game, and then you go to USDGC. Like, I could just keep going. Like, this is like just an amazing story, and I just really wanted our listeners and everybody to hear it and to share in it. And then at the end of it, you've now got this game which is going to live forever, and it's going to be out there. The 1,000 copies that you've made will be on shelves, and people will be playing with them. And I just had a chance here with this nice cold weather that I was finally starting in the last little while to really crack it out and dig into it. and playing it a bit. And I figured we got to keep this part short because I know I'm probably very cautious about letting you loose on this. But give us like the elevator speech so the people who don't realize how this is different from, say, Birdie Pro, maybe, or how this is different from having the card game, that kind of thing. Give them an idea of why Chains is the board game that you should get, how this play actually works.
Sure. Yeah. It's supposed to feel just like the sport. And what I like to do when I go play disc golf is pull up to the course. I might choose which holes I want to play that day. Maybe I want to play them all. You can decide how short or long the game is going to be. So maybe choose with your friends which holes you'll play. And this my course is a little generous. You have 3 different cheap heads you can choose from. That lets everyone have a different starting position. And you have an arsenal of 18 flight paths to choose from. Those flight paths are broken up into like 6 approach, 6 mid-range, and 6 drivers. So different distances, different levels of volatility in terms of how much the wind can affect their flight. And you can flip them over to switch between backhand and forehand. Once you start combining backhand and forehand, throwing high, throwing low, using some of the modified throws available when you spend a bag or chain token, there's well over 250 types of throws you can make in this game. Awesome. But it can be as simple as grabbing a flight path token. I've got one here. Grab a token, place it on the board, and make sure the hexagons line up, because that's what indicates you've made a valid throw. And it's hexagons, right? How do they work? It's like they 45, 45, 40. So just line it up on the board. Say, cool, I'm gonna do this.
Say, throw in.
Throw in, yeah, exactly. And then you've got a disc token, which space by space, your disc is trying to tell its story. Because you said, I command you to go here. And it says, sure, let me get on that. Fuck. Maybe you got to a point where your disc had to interact with an obstacle. And based on what that obstacle is, we have different rules for how your disc is going to interact. If you get to a wind space, maybe your disc will be blown off course. But a smart, strategic, focused player can manage the risks associated with all the rules in this game and make great shots and knock it out of the park. And that's what we're all there to do on the course, is see. Now, you can also play the game with drinking rules. You can have fun. But if you want to stay focused and play your best. Oh yeah. You look at the back page. There's some really fun alternate game modes there.
That's awesome.
Speaking of the back page.
Yeah, well, speaking of the back page, why don't we just go into? I've got the rule book here in front of me for people who are listening. I'm holding that in front of me, and one of the nice things that you were able to do, Callum, for us was you had said if you backed it on Kickstarter, you gave every backer an opportunity to submit their name to be in the rule book, right? So you had said, you can put your name, maybe you want to put your PDGA number in it. So I'm very proud that by backing you, I've got my name and my PDGA number in there. It is in there. I can show it to you another point. But at the bottom, there's this section here, which looks a little bit more than that. Tell us what happened there.
I mean, if you want to break something, throw humans at it. That's the rule. So if you say, here's a field to put suggested input now, there's always one. What was his name? Was it Mark?
There's always let Mark. Me just take a look here and exactly how you worded it. So for the people at home there, it's a whole page of all the people who supported it. There's the Birdie Club, the Eagle Club, the Chains Club, and that type of thing, and all these names listed and PDGA numbers. And then at the bottom, Callum's got here, then there's Mark. There's always one of you troublemakers. And Mark Hutchison, and we're giving him a shout out apparently here, goes on to write a diatribe of words, and you went ahead and put it into the rule book.
Yeah, because at some point, who are you hurting? And if you're a tournament director who had a loophole that was exploited, after the tournament's over, you better be able to laugh and have a good time with the people around you. So let's not poo-poo anybody's
Creativity.
anyways, great. So
Yeah.
what, how they probably cost me a few bucks in terms of how much production per page, but you know what? It's yours, Mark. It's yours.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good guy.
I'll tell you, Callum, when I was playing it and showing it with my kids and I showed them that my name was in there, the first thing they saw was that at the end, and then read it and they were just dying. They were laughing about that was in there. So that was funny.
Yeah, I
So-
loved it.
So now that you've completed this, and like you said, you've still got some copies available. So if anybody wants a copy, it's still available to buy. Now that you've completed this, and you've got your expansions, and you've said you've taken it in that direction as well.
Yeah.
What does the future hold? Is there a Change 2.0? Is there another board game in another industry? Are you still sticking with it? Where are you going from here?
I'm so glad you asked. Right now, as of right now, Innova has given permission to create an expansion course for the Wild Horse 2024 layout
Okay.
of their Las Vegas challenge.
Nice.
We're also working towards working towards getting that layout finished, illustrated, and ideally we'll be having a chains tournament at their event.
Oh, wow.
So
That's awesome.
Nice.
I would like to see pros and spectators participating. Go play the pros. Go see if you can best their score.
Yeah.
Brag about how you beat someone. Just don't give the details. You know what I'm saying? Like it's funny. It should be a great time. I see this as a fantastic showcase of what's possible with a new product in the industry. Again, if you can produce a product that's printed on paper that doesn't have to ship from overseas, and you now have an expansion course for what this product is, what I see is a license to print money. I see a license to put your course design, your baby on the map, and it's a way of people traveling the world playing disc golf without leaving their home. Because as much as we know that's not the same thing, not everybody can do it. Not
Yep.
everybody gets to go live the life that some of these traveling disc golf players do. And let's take some of that envy back and take the power into our own hands. Spend a few bucks and play these courses. Didn't Disc Golf Valley just release a new map layout like 2 days ago?
Mhm.
I'm over the moon about it. I'm so stoked to be able to play a real life course that. I mean, I have a family. Like we got travel plans of our own. I can't just pick up and
Yeah.
say I'm gonna go spend $5,000 in a week on Airbnb to go fly across the country and go play that course. I can't do that. So
Yeah.
I'm so stoked that they were able to do that, and I want anybody that is interested to get in touch, and I'll hook you up with the course designer kit. I'll give you all the Photoshop files you need to make your course a reality for this game. And this project, these pages in this game are 11 by 14.24.
Okay.
The only important part is the 11, because what it means is that you could print from your home printer an 11 by 17 piece of paper.
Right.
You can print and play your own courses that you designed yourself.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Yeah. That's
do
amazing.
Do it. I'll show I have tips. I got lots of Photoshop tips and stuff in my course designer kit. And if you want to sell them, I'll help you sell them. That's it. So
That's cool.
that being said, I think that where Chains is at right now, I did more things before this game swallowed 3 years of my life. I really did. I was a music producer. I had other products and ventures. I have a full-time job, and now I have a family with a kid. I have things to do. So I think that Chains could be best brought forward to its full potential by someone probably better positioned in the disc golf industry than me. Someone who can store product, probably someone who has some sort of retail connections that could do fulfillment services without sourcing out for that, and someone who maybe has good connections with those whose intellectual property for the big courses, like they have access to those people. If someone could do that, I think they could bring this game to the finish line and bring it to its full potential. So I would be willing to part with it for the right individual to bring it to its full potential. That's what I'm thinking right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing we'll
Yeah.
make sure to tell our listeners, and I'm going to kind of lead us into another direction in a second here, but what I want to tell our listeners is that we'll put your contact information. We'll make sure we get the information that you want out there, because if you've still got games and people are interested, that's one way they can probably get it. And then I'm sure there are other retailers in that have it as well. Now, when you're
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Is there retailers that you'd want to mention that might have that game available?
Oh, I mean, I'm selling it on my website, and at this point, I have fulfillment centers in the U.S. I'm fulfilling myself in Canada for
Okay.
now. There are limited copies available at Disc Republic at the moment, and I expect you'll see the Disc Golf Pro Tour selling a few copies in the near future. So
What is the website?
it's just dgbg.ca. So Disc Golf Board Game.
DGBG. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be called that.
At the very beginning, right? Yeah. And then it kind of moved along. So Daryl will bring that up for us, and we'll put that on the screen. One thing I was thinking, though, Daryl, was when we talk about the fact that there's a Raptors Knoll expansion, we want to get out to Vancouver and Langley and to play that course. I'm thinking what we should be doing is we'll play it, and we'll record it on UDisc, and we'll see how we do. Then maybe what we do is we get Callum's expansion. We play it on the Chains disc golf board game.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can say which one we're better at. Are we better at the actual playing, or are we better at playing there? What's our higher rating? So maybe as Callum said, you don't have to tell the whole story. So we can say, oh yeah, I shot a -10 at Raptors. I just didn't tell you how I did it.
Exactly. It's a bit like your 9-hole, 18-hole.
Yes. Oh yeah. See, this is some of that awesome artwork that's in there and the player profile cards. So that's fantastic. Now, the other thing too, what I would say, Daryl, is that when I was looking at the game and the fact that you can create your own holes and stuff like that, one of the things you could probably make them as easy or as difficult as you want. And one of the things you could do is you could take that setup, kind of black out some hexes, or maybe make them look like water, probably in a circle, and you'd have yourself an island.
An island.
And I don't know, maybe does that lead us to where we want to go next?
Of course. There's only one place we could go next.
This
Picture
is the
this.
island
You've
question,
taken a
isn't it?
relaxing cruise, however the ship goes down. You manage to swim to an island, and fortunately for you, there's an 18-hole disc golf course. Which 3 discs are you taking with you on the island?
There you go.
Dun,
Yeah,
dun,
this is the island question. So we've had it. It's a staple in our show, as it says. You're stranded on an island, but luckily for you, you had a backpack. You had your bag with you. You got 3 discs in there. Which 3 discs would you be taking with you to this island?
So I have the floppiest harp you have ever seen. You can crumple it into a ball, and I found it down at the Kayak Disc Golf Resort down in Washington there, and I love that I can throw an overstable approach disc and not worry about the flare. This thing grabs so well, and it's soft enough that it doesn't like its edge. Okay. So I'm really happy with that one.
Okay.
My second would be my Glow Paradox, MVP Paradox.
Okay. Yeah.
This thing is unbelievable. The amount of cut rollers you can throw, the reliable roller, easily throwing 500 feet with the proper line, and the absolute. If you don't have a forehand, I do have a forehand, but don't ask me to throw a distance. Yeah. If your touch game is dialed, the shapes you can throw with that thing. If you want to throw this thing at a 90-degree angle as a backhand and have it flip to flat 200 feet forward, and then start gliding to the side and never come back, it's absolutely glorious.
Yeah,
right.
I being that I'm left-handed, I'm throwing shots that people don't believe exists. It just makes me so happy.
Right.
And so if we were talking distance, harp, floppy harp, Paradox, and I used to throw drivers, but it turns out I don't like the gym.
I should just say it does. The original rules were putter, approach, mid, and driver. It doesn't. It can take on any combination of those. So if you don't throw drivers anymore, If you need to take another disc instead, you can totally bend the rules and do that.
You know that, and I grab drivers for shape sometimes, but if I'm looking for reliability and distance, the T-Bird's my baby.
Yeah.
Oh, there
She's
you
Okay.
go.
I think she's a 9.5. What is that?
7502 for the T-Bird or 9504 for the Thunderbird. Are you thinking of
I'm
Thunderbird?
thinking of the Thunderbird. Sorry,
Thunderbird.
Thunderbird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The T-Bird's my lovely fairway, but yeah, the Thunderbird for my 9 is the way.
Yeah. I just started
Star
throwing that
Plastic.
again.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the Star Plastic. I really like how it breaks in.
Yeah.
And man,
That's a
if
good.
you, I remember throwing that thing. If you've played the Kayak Golds, if you've ever made your way down, they have a. So this was like a. I can't remember the name of the golfer, but it was like a signature golf resort that broke down and sold to the disc golfers. Yeah, you did. And it's being managed really well. 4 courses on this layout, and they're golds. Their whole one is like almost 700 feet downhill, and I parked this hole with the Thunderbird. It's because of the elevation. The elevation made it that possible for a chubby, short, orange guy like me. But yeah, it was wonderful to see your disc do what you asked it to for 20 plus seconds in the air.
Oh,
And that's what people don't remember is that if you're going to try and throw a long, complicated shot, you need your disc to be performing as long as possible. And if you're listening and you don't know better, then you need to listen. You need to know that you have more control for longer with the lower speed disc. You just do.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Thunderbird in the Star Plastic. Paradox, what plastic are you taking?
Yeah.
Oh, the glow
that's
plastic.
an MVP glow. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the floppy harp.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then if you could take any course, which is one of the things that we've added to this segment, if you could take any of those courses that you've played and transport that course to the island. So this is the only course you're playing while you're stranded on this island. Which course would it be?
Wow.
We saved the best for last.
Yeah, and you know,
did.
it could always be the course right out of Chains, the disc golf board game, because there's nothing stopping you in this scenario.
You could take that one with you, yeah.
It's true. You know what? That's true. I've had some lovely interviews with course designers of some of the PDGA, the majors, and one thing we talked about is like the privilege that I have of not working with the land and making whatever I want. And I will say, I think I could beat anybody at this game. But I dare you to show me. Show me, because the more you understand what your chain and bag tokens can do, the better you understand the wind, the better you understand throwing high and low, you are going to find out that I have made a really hard course, but you can master it. And that's just it. It's an invitation.
That's awesome. Well, and I hope everybody after listening here, you know, whether they want to connect with me and have a chance to play my copy of the game, or if they go out and get their own, that would be great. But Callum, we're kind of running out of time here. So before we let you go, we do want to give you a moment there. Is there anything that we didn't mention or something that you want to shout out before we let you go to let the listeners know?
You know, no, I don't think so. I want you guys to enjoy the sport and find ways to give back to the community. Just be good. Don't be the people that cause trouble with the parks board or risk losing the course because you weren't friendly. Just bring your best selves to the course. That's all.
That's it.
Yeah, you know what? That's just a great comment for everything too, and that's what we find. We find people who get out there and they want to yell at the person who's picnicking in the middle of a park course who has never seen disc golf in their life. And it's like, no. There's another approach to those types of things, and be the person with that other approach, not the one yelling. That kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's totally like you said in the beginning, right? It's the community, it's the friendship, it's everything that disc golf is all about. That's why we love it.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect. Yeah. Well, Callum, when we start thinking about designing our own course after I get Daryl playing this game here, we'll be in touch for sure. So thank you so much for coming on, and we really appreciate learning more about it. It's like I said, I love board games, I love disc golf, and this has been a perfect time of chatting all about that.
I love it. Any questions, let me know. I've got tutorials on my YouTube page. I don't know what it's called. It's probably changed or something. Look up James Disc Golf Board Game on YouTube, and I have tutorials in case you don't feel like reading the instructions.
That's
Fantastic.
awesome.
Okay, thanks, Callum. Have a good one.
We'll check our inboxes for that tournament league from Disc Golf Valley.
Yes, there you go.
Right on.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks, Callum.
I'm going to create you guys a chain out 25% off of the game. I'm going to send it to you
Oh.
guys. So
Perfect.
by the time your episode's finished, that's going to be live. So just chain out as a discount code for the game.
Fantastic.
Thank
Well,
you
we'll
very
put that
much.
link out there. We
Wow.
really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay.
Awesome.
You guys have a great
Go
night.
ahead.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You
Anytime.
bet.
Thank you.
Daryl.
Wow.
Well, look at that. We have an amazing guest on, tweaking all of my favorite things. I don't know if I could add any more in there. I would have to be maybe, could we get a brewery involved in it?
I know, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's a disc golf game connected with a brewery, connected with disc golf. Like, I don't know what else I would need.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that would be kind of like leaning more towards my, getting me more interested. But I think from your side, like, this was totally your episode.
Oh, yeah.
This is like this is like you being a kid in a candy store.
Well, I even had it.
Or Jeremy in a board game store.
Well, I was looking at it and I'm like, it was just an opportunity, and I hope everybody enjoyed it as well. But it gave me a chance to kind of geek out a little bit about board gaming and tying it to disc golf. But at the same time, I think we like to say, and it's when we get into the main heart of our season, of the disc golf season, we end up chatting with pros, we end up chatting with tournament directors, and we really focus on the game and the season. But there are so many other things happening in disc golf. And when someone like Callum is making a difference in a different way than creating a disc, we should celebrate that and talk about it, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so many podcasts out there. There's, they're all interviewing the pros. And the pros are willing to be on. Everybody likes to see interviews and listen to the pros talk and find out what they're doing and things like that. But there's so much, like you said, there's so much more to the aspect of disc golf, and especially Canadian disc golf. Callum being from Vancouver, Canadian, like just the whole story of I never didn't think his story was going to go in that direction about being, when you, like, we do a podcast and we think nobody, a handful of people know who we are.
Yes.
We've got followers. We've got our niche of people.
We've got our awesome, loyal listeners, and that's
but then
all
to get
17
like a
of them.
phone call out of the blue to be like, oh yeah, we're Innovadisc, so we want you to come down to USGGC, and we want, really?
And good on him
Yeah.
that he was like, I don't think I would have been prepared, and I don't know if I could have said yes, but he said, like, it didn't sound like no was in his vocabulary.
Right.
He's like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And he showed up and
then
did
just to be able to get all that logistics together, to be able to ship the components that he needs, and then he's in the store and he's putting 200 together. I thought he was saying like 20 maybe or something, but he put 200 together.
Oh.
And then just to make those connections and be like somebody from Vancouver that was just, on a road trip playing disc golf and just thought, I'm going to do a board game and watch me go. And that's where, and like you said, $10,000 in one day.
$10,000 in one day, over $37,000.
Right.
1,000 board games, gets them from overseas, gets them made, gets
Yeah.
them distributed all across the world, because there
Yeah.
was people supporting it that were outside of North America.
Right.
So it was everywhere. It was
And
just amazing.
It's like, I can understand what he's saying. Like, oh, I'm going to get this board game, put it on Kickstarter, what'll happen.
Mhm.
Then you see this number come up in front of you and you're like, oh, this is real now.
Now it's real.
Oh, now I actually have to do this and really follow through with this, and I have to put out a quality product. So yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I'm going to say, we normally get together. We like to play disc golf. We get together. We like to record content. One of these times, especially if the weather stays the way it is, let's just get together and we'll play it. What do you think? Yeah, and then I'll give you
for that.
get a chance
I
to
do
check
like
it out.
board games too.
Yes.
You've lent me a couple games. We've played them. I do like playing them. Maybe not to your extent. I haven't had the history that you have. I do play them every now and again, but yeah, I'm up for that.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode. At this point, we always like to tell you, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, what the heck are you doing? It's just a click of a button. It helps us out. It supports us. Follow us on Instagram. Like the posts, comment, put a comment. Just say, hey guys, how's it going? Anything you want. Add some comments in there, hopefully positive. And it helps grow the channel. We really appreciate that. And if you've done all that and you want to do more, you can check out our Patreon. There are a number of different options that you can pick from there, and even a free one that you can just check it out and see if you like it. And then we also have on our link tree, we have the ability to buy us a beer, where it's a one-time support, and all of those things help us to give you more content like this, more giveaways, and it just feels like they're like, hopefully our snowball is starting to roll and get a little bigger as well.
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely.
We won't be waking up tomorrow to $10,000 like Callum did.
No, but like you were saying, we got our small group of loyal followers,
The chain gang,
the
as it said there.
chain gang, as as
Sam.
Sam put out there. But I'm sure all of you guys have friends that listen to podcasts too. Maybe you want to get them into disc golf. Maybe you give them your starter set of discs that you got way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But also, don't forget to mention that, hey, there's this Chain Out podcast that you might want to listen to as well. Give them a follow.
And not only listen to them, go and get 10% off your Cardinal gear, get 15% with COP 15 off your goat towels. Now you can get 25% off Chains, the disc golf board game.
Yeah.
This is amazing. So that's awesome. Thank you to all our people supporting us that way. Thanks to all our Patreon members as well. And what is it going to be? About 15 minutes, I think we need, and then we're going to start our Patreon episode.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Daryl, the one thing I'm going to tell you is you're going to play Chains with me.
Yeah.
And you're going to set up, and one of the things that's kind of cool with the characters in that is they have little things like one guy can manipulate the wind, so maybe it doesn't impact your throw as much. Another guy can do a different thing.
Yeah.
But what happens is as you make these throws and you get closer and closer to the basket, it's not like you just putt. They've actually got a thing where you have to now test your luck and see if you're going to be able to putt it into the basket. And if you can, like if you throw it in, they call it a chain in, and that's what it's called in the game. So you're throwing, you get a chain in. But if you roll the dice, which you're probably going to do the first few times when you do this, you can roll like a 1 or 2 on your putt.
That's not good.
No, it's not good, because if you do that, there's only one thing that's going to happen.
What happens when you throw a 1 or a 2
well,
in
if
the
you
game,
throw a
Caleb?
1 or a 2 in this game, you're going to chain out.
Thanks everybody for listening. Stay tuned. We'll be live later.